Here we are at the Deep Silver Koch Media booth at E3 2016, and we're taking a look at F1 2016. Main new feature this year is the return of the career mode. Last year it was a bit of a lack of content, so this year you're coming full back. You have this new addition, and what can we expect in terms of career mode and additional content?
Yeah, so we wanted to bring back the career. You know, we had career modes in previous games, but we wanted to do it stronger than ever before this year. So we wanted to build what we consider to be the richest, deepest career mode that we could get in this year. So because of that, we wanted the player to really feel invested in what they were doing in the game. So we have an avatar at the start of the game where you get to pick, how you visibly are represented within the game. Then you get to pick a crash helmet, and you get to choose the colour combination that you have on that helmet, and then assign the number to your car. So that's a very personal thing to you. And then you've got those things to take through your career, which can last for up to at least 10 seasons. So it's probably certainly the longest career we've ever created. But then, we want the player to also have the ability to take one of the slower teams to the front of the grid. So, we've got a full R&D system as well in place where you can take one of the slower cars and build it up until eventually become, a World Championship winning team.
So there is some signing involved. You get to sign with some of the teams, and depending on how you perform, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we've got a contract system in there. So if you prefer not to keep working on your car, but maybe you want to move to a faster team, we have an agent character in the game, and she'll approach you and she'll speak to you about contract moves and the performance that you need to be doing on the circuit, and then she'll try and facilitate a new contract with a more powerful team.
Is there any story besides just racing and deciding on these things with teams and customization options?
Yeah, so we don't script anything in the game, so all of the story comes through from what's happening on the track in the in-track experiences. So if you're developing the car, the race engineer guy, he'll come and meet you in the development area and he'll speak about what they're doing with the car, and the same with the agent. So if you're underperforming, she'll come and speak to you, and both these characters are fully performance captured as well, so they move really nicely, the facial animation's brilliant, so it brings in that personal feeling of being part of a Formula One paddock.
And you'll have as a partner real drivers in your team?
Yeah, that's correct. You'll always be partnered by one of the real drivers for that team.
In terms of simulation, we really like the physics model last year. What else can we expect in terms of improvements in the physics, simulation system, etc.?
Yes, I mean the car itself, we've refined the handling model for the car. We've done significant work on the tyre model as well, so the wet weather conditions, the tyres feel very different to the dry now. But we've also worked really heavily on the off-track areas, so the rumble strips have been modelled again. We've added the sausage curbs. We've actually worked on a lot of the grip differences on the gravel, on the grass, on the AstroTurf, and again on the force feedback as well, the thing that gives you the attachment to the car. Yes, I mean we've moved all of those things on quite significantly again from 15, which was considered to be one of the greatest handling F1 games, so.
What about the damage model?
Yeah, so we've further expanded on the damage model as well. So we've got a model where the cars can be more delicate now, but also wheel tethers are a feature of Formula One. We've added wheel tethers to the game, so when you do have an incident, the front wheels will flail around and bounce around on the cords.
That's also related to the visual presentation. That was one of the highlights last year as well. What can we expect in terms of new effects and new spectacle?
Yes, I mean for the spectacle this year we've added in a time of day system which allows the player to choose when they play the game in terms of the time of the day.
But that's not dynamic, of course, that's like fixed hours.
So basically you could start it at any time during the day and then it will transition through naturally. They can also choose the times at which it runs so it can go a little bit quicker as well. So you can start in bright sunshine in the morning as the sun's coming up, and then it'll gradually move to the centre, higher in the sky. It adds a real visual appeal to the game. When you get the sun setting and the long shadows across the ground, it looks absolutely spectacular.
That's for the visual aspect. And how have you worked on the sound aspect, on the sound effects specifically?
Yeah, so this year the cars are actually sounding much better in real life as well. So the audio guys have spent a lot of time making sure that we get all those little nuances in the sound. So you get the gearbox whine, you get the hiss of the turbo, but you get that slightly rougher, slightly coarser sound that the cars have got this year as well.
You mentioned the force feedback before. What can we expect in terms of support for different wheels? And have you tried to add new setup options and new stuff for super hardcore players and simulation lovers?
Yes, I mean we continue to add in new wheels as and when they get released, and we try to refine, the force feedback system. We're also adding in a system first on PC to allow the player to calibrate the controller a little better as well, so they get a better experience, because it's all about that being really connected to the car and the fine detail. So yeah, that's certainly something we are pushing forward as well.
Makes sense to launch an F1 game every year, every season. That's of course we understand. But recently, Codemasters launched Dirt Rally, which simulation is like one of the best we've ever tried. Have you ever considered trying this kind of model? First, trying the game with the community, having some early access, perhaps on PC, and then having the full product out on both PC and consoles for F1.
Yeah, so an early access model isn't something that we can actually do with F1, but what we have done this year is a couple of months ago we invited in 8 people from our community who were they were voted for by the community on our forums as people who they felt could really help us improve the game, and we invited them into the studio for 3 days. We flew one guy in from Australia, and they got access to the game before anybody else, and they were able to give us a lot of input into areas that they felt we could improve or refine in some way. I think so. That's just the beginning of a relationship that we're building with our community so that they can help us really build a better game for everyone.
And in terms of multiplayer and online features, what can you expect?
Yeah, so we're not really speaking about any of the additional stuff in the game. So the main focus for E3 is the new career mode and the safety car, the virtual safety car, and how we've got probably the strongest career mode.
One of the new highlights is the virtual safety car, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, virtual safety car is new to the sport. It's new to the game. I mean, the safety car always does a great job of mixing the racing up, but the virtual safety car is something different.
Strategy.
Yeah.
So no multiplayer details yet?
We'll be speaking about those later on, yeah.
Okay, when can we expect the game to launch and on which platforms?
So we're coming out on PC, Xbox One and PS4, and we'll be announcing the date very soon, but it's going to be summer this year.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.